ابن الغنم
أنت جابه
غنم تمشي غنم مرة
أنت جابه.
It all started with mysterious images posted online from the Palestinian territories.
ما أنت دحف אותי? ما أنت דוחף אותי? תתבייש לך! חיית צה"ל דוחף אותי! לא מאפשר לי לצלם. תשבור, כן, תשבור את המצלמה.
Don't take camera. I break your camera. Don't take picture.
Images of a minuscule war. We're used to seeing much bloodier scenes of the region, so nobody noticed this day-to-day harassment. Who are these people setting fire to olive groves? And why are the Israeli soldiers doing nothing to stop them? It's like knowingly letting children play with matches next to a powder keg.
We recognize that a Palestinian state must be big enough to be viable, to be independent, to be prosperous. We'll be generous about the size of the future Palestinian state.
This is a land set to become a Palestinian state. In the field, dozens of Israeli settlements are built, linked to the most nationalist right wing.
Palestinian state, Palestinian people, Palestinian entity, Palestinian identity does not exist. It never existed.
It's a new type of war. Meter by meter, step by step. A silent war. For the time being, at any rate. Hebron is the largest Palestinian city, or rather, almost Palestinian. This side of town is under the control of the Palestinian Authority. Traffic jams, lots of color, no doubt about it, we're well and truly in an Arab street. But right in the middle of one street stands a checkpoint. Crossing it is like entering a parallel universe. The Palestinians call it the ghost town. The shops here have been closed down under Israeli military orders. The street looks empty. It's not. A group of Jewish settlers live here, protected by a garrison. There are also a few Palestinians who are clinging onto their houses. We have just entered Israeli territory. Life is not easy for the Palestinians who have chosen to stay in the settlers' street. Moving around, shopping, everything poses a problem. Isa lives here. He's a Palestinian activist and is well known to the soldiers and the settlers for his extraordinary insolence. Isa does not respect the rules of the occupation.
תוריד את זה עכשיו.
לא, לא זה רעידה.
In 2012, he was arrested 20 times, then released. Isa has understood one thing. In the war of images, the victim is the winner.
Let me show you. So the line is here. I'm allowed to be here, but I'm not allowed to be here.
If you cross this line,
I was arrested last time when I went in there, 5 meters from here. It's only to make the settlers feel comfortable, nothing more.
There's not a single shop left open in the Israeli zone. To go and buy his bread, Isa has to cross the border, return to Palestine. In the old city of Hebron, the urban planning seems to have been drawn up by Kafka himself. Never far behind Isa is a man with a camera.
Me personally, I don't walk without a camera. I see that the camera is my weapon. And I feel more safe. It's feeling too, not only filming, you know.
In this market street, Palestine stretches for about 300 meters. But just beyond the pistachio stall, Israeli military control takes over again.
Another ruler gate again. اوكي تدرى ربا تعسي توفالا انا شيء ما يعفريني بو تعسي توفالا هم ينو بخليصة I can't cross from here.
Why?
Because I am Palestinian.
No Palestinian can cross.
Yeah, except the people who are living there.
After another barrier at the end of the road, the zone reserved for Muslims comes to an end. Before letting us through, the soldier wants to know our religion.
Okay.
Isa makes things difficult for him.
What do you want to go?
Just to visit him, to film his shop and to say hi. No? They don't believe in God. No God. We can go?
Yeah.
شو؟ شو تلفش؟
Suddenly, the soldier changes his mind.
Are you calling me?
Passport. You can go.
We can go now? Okay. Listen, I don't have time. I go and come back.
If you go, I'm arrested.
You arrest me? Why to arrest me?
Because I say you stay here.
You are allowed to me that I stay
Because
here.
of the police.
It's only in Israel. You are a policeman. Why I have to wait, you know?
Because of the...
Because you are saying, are you God?
No, I'm soldier.
You are a soldier. You know, he wants me to wait.
Now?
Yeah, he doesn't want to give me ID.
I don't know if it helps, but we don't want to be trouble for this man. He was very helpful to us, so I don't know, maybe we can let him go because he did nothing wrong.
I don't know.
You know, he's saying he did nothing wrong.
Okay, give me ID. I don't have time. Honestly, I don't have time. Or check it. No, what are you doing? No. What are you doing? Checking? Call. It takes 2 minutes, you know. It takes only 2 minutes, you know. I am the one who knows. Don't give him my ID. Just tell him Isa Amro. Smart better than you. You are very stupid. You are not smart. What to say? You are stupid. You are not smart.
איזה גודפק, תגיע לפה, בבקשה.
ככה, انت بمسوق على حلبات שוטר.
على ايش؟
حلبات שוטר. תלמד. בוא. תביא את התעודה.
So, for the 6th time in 2013, Issa Amro is arrested. Yehuda has arrested dozens of Palestinians in Hebron. For 2 years, from 2004, he was an Israeli soldier here. Since then, he has founded an organization of former soldiers turned pacifists called Breaking the Silence.
ליצור תחושת נרדפות, to create the feeling of being persecuted. Yeah, that's the language. That's the military language.
But your orders were not to make the Palestinians
Of
feel
course,
persecuted.
yes.
They were.
Of course. The concept in the military says this. If Palestinians will get the feeling that the army is all the time everywhere, they'll be afraid to attack. So what do you do to make them feel this way? You make your presence felt. The idea is very simple. Every Palestinian needs to feel the military is right here.
The Israeli police station is located just at the foot of the Palestinian Mosque of Hebron, a mosque built on a sacred Jewish cave. The two religions share the building. But for 20 years, the Israeli military have imposed a strict separation there between Jews and Arabs.
The whole story, the whole system here in Hebron is based on segregation. Yeah, in a way, when you come to Hebron, yeah, the most important question to try to answer is how Hebron became a ghost town. How do you protect 850 settlers living in a city center of 175,000 Palestinians? And the answer that the Israeli military gives to that question is you create sterile buffer zones between both communities. That's the military term, yeah, sterile zones. And it all started right after the massacre that Baruch Goldstein did in the Tomb of the Patriarchs in 1994.
In 1994, a far-rightist Jewish settler, armed with a machine gun, entered the mosque where Palestinians were praying. He killed 29 Arabs before in turn being killed. The murderer was called Baruch Goldstein. He belonged to a national religious group, the Kach. After the killing, the Israeli government banned the organization. But one of its former leaders, Baruch Mazel, lives here in a Hebron settlement. He's still very active. He's even a high-profile figure. Negotiating a meeting with him was no easy task. But when Mazel arrives, he sees us talking with Yehuda, the pacifist soldier, his sworn enemy.
You don't know who he is now. You have him, you have enough. That's enough. If he has a point of view, who is to talk in Hebron?
He was a soldier in Hebron.
Yeah, but there were 1 million soldiers in Hebron. Why him? Because he beat up Arabs, and afterwards he ran away because he gets paid by the European Union. So you would say no.
I'm trying to do my work, you know.
I knew before.
You have to...
It won't be balanced. You don't know what's balance. Balance isn't him.
Why?
Balance is because if you interview him, you need 1,000 people to the other side. Yes, you have to take any Arab you want, but not him. He's nothing. Why is he aside? Take the Arabs.
I mean, the margin. This is in the margin.
What? Take the Hamas, take the PLO. Why do you take him?
Would you agree if I interviewed the Hamas and the PLO?
Yeah, because they're aside here.
Just next door, inside the police station, the Palestinian Issa has also started shouting. International observers arrive.
Can you film so we can have the voice?
Their mission is to record incidents between the settlers, the Palestinians, and the army.
Yeah, something like this. I've seen him before, back to his house. He's been screaming now inside. Oh yeah, Lahari, he's been screaming. He's been You're gonna have to see yourself. We can't say anything about what's going on.
What is he saying? Because I feel bad about what's happening.
Well, basically, the thing is that we have signed something that we are not allowed to give out our information about this. But I can tell you that he is screaming in Arabic, so...
But he's not being beaten up, right?
I cannot really answer that question.
Is it possible for me to read your reports?
It's confidential, so we only send it to both sides, the Israeli side and the Palestinian side.
But the arrest will not remain secret. Issa's friends have filmed everything. They're already posting the images on internet.
My experience in the occupied territories in general, and especially in Hebron, brought me to start to ask questions I would never ask otherwise. It doesn't take much till it starts to stink. Yeah, you just need to be a bit, 10% honest with yourself to understand that, to start to wonder whether this is the job of a Jewish soldier.
300 meters away, just opposite Issa's house, is the Bet Adassa settlement, housed in a building constructed by the Jewish community of Hebron in the 19th century. The Israelis who live there consider it a return as opposed to a colony. And their spokesperson says he regrets the state of the city.
For you, any Arab passing on your street is a danger.
No. For me, it's not for me. It's a decision of the army. If people come to shop, to buy, it means thousands of people a day. Amongst thousands of people, you just have to have one terrorist. One. And they decided to recognize and to agree to these measures in Hebron, which means the Jews are closed in a ghetto, in one street. We are not allowed to walk out of this street, and Arabs can live in this street, but Arabs from all over the town cannot come and make shopping in the street.
During the night, Issa was released. We meet up with him the next day on the Palestinian side. He explains to us why he was shouting.
The first moment I entered the gate of the police station, one of them hit me by the back of the gun on my backbone, and the other one hit me on my neck here. It was obvious that he was detaining me just to humiliate me and to show me that he's stronger and he's the one who is in charge.
You could have, shut up and accepted. There was another option. Why didn't you do that?
Usually I don't shut up. It's about me. It's about Issa, how he feels from inside. It's about my dignity. Otherwise, I will explode. I will feel just that I'm nothing. I don't want to feel that. I'm protecting myself from inside too.
You were never tempted to use a real weapon?
I never ever in my life touched a weapon, and I feel that the camera is much stronger than the guns.
This was our first discovery. A new generation of Palestinian activists who prefer the war of images to the martyrdom strategy.
هاي هون الميموري مظبوط بس في كبسة خفيفة الميموري بتطلع تاخديها وبتحطيها وين ما بدك.
This new generation prefers to practice filming in emergency situations than firing a Kalashnikov or wearing a belt of explosives. Every day they document a low-intensity warfare, a war the world does not see. The idea was born in Hebron, less than 100 meters from here, in what's known as the Cage House. The Cage House is inhabited by the Abu Aisha family. They live behind fencing, just opposite the Israeli colony. The heart of the home is this video surveillance system. It records any incidents with their neighbors. Today, nothing has happened, So they show us yesterday's images. For years, the Abu Aishas suffered attacks by their neighbors without being able to defend themselves.
أنا ركبت الشبك بعد ما تكسر الإزاز. أنا مع كتر الشكاوي اللي هم بيقولوا لي تبيع البيت يا أبو عيشي كما كيسف. قلت لهم أنا إيش لي كيسف يربي يعني في عندي مصاري إذا أنتوا بتبيعوا أنا بشتري أنا ما ببيع أنا بشتري.
The arrival of these two cameras in 2006 was to change family life, and perhaps the history of Palestine.
مين اللي أعطاكوا هاي الكاميرات؟
بيت سالم.
مين هم هذولا؟
يهود من بيت سالم حركة
السلام.
The pacifist organization, B'Tselem, has distributed nearly 300 video cameras to Palestinians who are in contact with the settlers. The images came as a surprise to Israeli civil society.
The project started around late 2006 in the house that is called the Caged House, and now realized that they're incredibly frustrated with the fact that they're under constant harassment and assaults and attacks by their settler neighbors, and the police simply does not treat their complaints seriously. So he basically gave a video camera to the family, and amazing footage started pouring into the office, depicting really quite shocking scenes. The first clip that really immense public attention was the Sharmuta clip. It's a clip depicting a woman from the Tel Rumeda settlement harassing, swearing, insulting a Palestinian woman. And again, very, very close by, you can see a soldier standing there. And I think this video, it went viral in Israeli media, really shocked many Israelis and raised awareness of these kinds of incidents that occur in Hebron.
Indeed, they came as such a shock that the then Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert apologized to the family of the Cage House.
أولمن لما اعتذر ليش ما أخذ شالوا وممر شالوهم كل يوم بيعتدوا ليش ما أخذهم على السجن؟
The images from the various B'Tselem cameras were proof of shocking discrimination around the Israeli settlements. When settlers' kids take it out on their Arab neighbors, why does the Israeli army do nothing?
I went through throughout my service with the feeling that the settlers are crazy. That it's not the settlers, but the fact that my orders are not to intervene when settlers attack Palestinians is crazy. Yeah, because that's the case here. Yeah, as a soldier serving in Hebron, you see a settler beating up a Palestinian. Our orders are we're not allowed to intervene. We're here to protect the settlers.
Palestinian kids get different treatment. In July 2013, a 5-year-old child threw a stone at a settler's car. He hit the tire. The Israeli army arrested him. The army also went to the child's house and arrested his father. An Israeli officer had to intervene before the soldiers would remove the handcuffs and blindfold they had put on the father.
Filming in the West Bank is absolutely legal. Even as a Palestinian, you're allowed to film these kinds of situations in the West Bank, and sometimes the camera itself becomes a target. In the southern Hebron Hills or in the area around Nablus, very often if settlers attack Palestinians, the first thing they'll go for is the camera because they would like to stop this documentation.
לא מאפשר לי לצלם. תשבור, כן, תשבור את המצלמה. טוב מאוד. צה"ל פה ולא מונעים את זה ממנו.
الجيش مش هو اللي بيحكم، هم اللي بيحكموا. يعني في وحدة قبالنا بقول لك معها كاميرا، بيجوا بناتي أو خواتي بتصير تصيح يا خيالة خيالة بيجي شو اسمه. هذا كثير يعني بيسوي مشاكل. هم اللي مسيطرين على الجيش. أول ما لما اعتذر يسحب الجيش من عندهم بيرحلوا. مين حط لهم الجيش؟
It's time to leave. The Palestinian who is accompanying us asks for permission to leave by the top of the street. The road is shorter. The Israeli soldier gives his authorization. Apparently, he wants to make things easy for him. But not so the settlers.
Okay.
כאן זה רק לאבו הייטק. תרוצי לבסיס, תקראי למ"פ. לא. רוצי, תקראי למ"פ.
We'd be happy to show your side if you
come here to cause provocation. They bring an Arab that could be a terrorist that's not allowed to be here, and you are supporting terrorism.
Why am I supporting terrorism?
Because these are terrorists that have been in jail and they come here to kill us, and you are supporting him. Why you do it? You have to ask yourself that question. You are lying to yourself.
But why? You can explain to me.
אתה מפריע לי, אל תתקרב אליי ואל תעשה את זה! הבנת?
אתה איתם. קחו את זה כמה צעדים אחורה, אל תגרו בהם. בסדר.
איפה אנחנו נחכה? אולי אנחנו נחכה בבית.
בסדר. למטה.
Try to live around people that want to kill you and then say, don't be careful of them. אל תצלם, don't take picture of me.
I gladly accept that you take picture of me. I have no problem with that. I have no, problem with you.
It cheat the army. It cheat the people. I'm not hating Arabs. I just not stupid. Let them kill us. I can't trust them. This is why he can't walk in these few meters of my house. After they...
Any
Arab's not allowed. Any Arab.
You make no exception.
No, I can't know which one is someone I can trust and which one no. I had enough in the experience of Arabs that were very nice and friendly. The Arab that killed my father worked by Jews.
15 years ago, Zipi's father was killed by a Palestinian terrorist in this very street, which very probably explains her tension.
The Palestinians are temporary, the Jews are the indigenous people here. We have archaeologists spot just where you go that we find dishes from 4,000 years ago that write in Hebrew letters that Jews were here.
Who is temporary and who indigenous? When living under the tyranny of ruins, you should always go back 3,000 years. So let's travel back, if we must, to time immemorial. Originally, Hebron was inhabited by a constellation of Semitic tribes. They worshipped animal-headed gods, now faded into oblivion. According to the Bible, the Jews chased the tribes out of Hebron. They were led by the patriarch, Abraham. With them, the Hebrews brought a new concept, the single God. When Abraham died at the venerable age of 175 years, that's in the Bible too, the Hebrews buried him in Hebron. This was the very first temple. Throughout history, the Jewish cave was to change hands and undergo extension. The Romans transformed it into a Christian church. The Muslims made a mosque out of it and adopted the patriarch Abraham, who they renamed Ibrahim. Abraham and Ibrahim were one, worshipped twice over by Jews and Muslims, except that according to historians, Abraham probably never existed and was invented for political reasons. In the 16th century, the Turks settled in Hebron. It's probably the only time the Jews knew peace, and it was to last for 4 centuries. But that's not the end of the story. In 1917, the British chased the Turks out of Palestine. A new period of trouble started. The English promised Palestine to the Jews. The most nationalist Arabs flared up. In 1929, trouble broke out. Police deserted the city of Hebron. Arab extremists attacked the Jewish community. 67 Jews were assassinated. But 435 of them were also saved, thanks to their Palestinian neighbors who hid them. Following these massacres, the Jews left Hebron. They were to come back 40 years later in 1967, when the Israeli army conquered the West Bank and Gaza, in yellow on the map. Israeli soldiers took control of Hebron. A year later, a group of ultra-Orthodox American Jews settled in the old city. This was the first settlement in Hebron. For the Jews, they were coming back to the city of the patriarchs.
This place is very holy. It's very historic. It's the beginning of the Jewish people here. The fathers and the mothers of the Jewish people are buried here.
For their Palestinian neighbors, it was the beginning of a military occupation.
We say that, Jewish, we're living in Hebron historically. But they are allowed to come back. They are more than welcome to come back to live in Palestine. If they want two-state solution. If they want one-state solution, I agree to. But equal, He's more privileged than me. They have much more rights than me. I'm not allowed in the street where I was born. I'm not allowed to walk in the street where I was biking, playing. So it's about this.
يقتل المسلمين في سوريا، في الجزائر قبل، في جنوب السودان، في الصومال.
I think there is no place like Hebron where our great past in the Holy Land meets the disgusting and disgraceful present and future. There is no place like Hebron to open the discussion and the question of who we are as a people, what we should stand for. What is the country that we're building here all about? The problem is that a prolonged occupation is immoral, non-Jewish, against the interest of Israel, and must end 46 years ago. That's the problem.
We wanted to see what the occupation looks like in the rest of the Palestinian territories, so we must leave Hebron. At the city exit, the Israeli army has erected an iron gate. At the moment, it is wide open. Palestinian attacks have virtually ceased, so traffic flows much easier.
Less restrictions, but a complete control. And in 20 minutes, we can shut down all the West Bank. It takes one jeep to each village, close the gate, and no one can leave in and out.
The West Bank is a strange zone. It has been under the occupation of the Israeli army since 1967, but it is not part of Israel. The Palestinians who live here have no nationality. They are subject to the decisions of the Israeli army. Since 1967, Israel has taken total control of increasingly large parts of the West Bank. What today remains of the Palestinian territories is in red on the map. These enclaves are surrounded by Israeli settlements and security zones. The occupation also features two networks of superimposed roads. To access their settlements, the Israelis have built wide roads. Palestinian cars have free access to them. On the other hand, Palestinians do not have control over their own roads. Their roads can be blocked or even phased out by the Israeli army. This is what happened to the Arab village of Kafir Kadom. Their main road is unusable. There's an Israeli settlement right in the middle of it. A settlement means a barrier and soldiers. Dozens of roads in the Palestinian territories have been sacrificed, but the villagers in Kafir Kadom, led by Murad, have decided to fight.
This is the original road, right?
Yes, all original road.
Okay. Can you get close to the gate?
No. Maybe you can.
Yeah.
There on the top of the mountain, they have a very tall tower. We have a camera. They can watch everything, every movement happened here in this area.
So they're seeing us now?
Yes, of course.
Every Friday, the inhabitants of Kafir Kadom burn a few tires to smoke out their Israeli neighbors. The settlement across their road is called Kedumim and is in the hands of religious radicals. It was founded by a woman who is known as the matriarch of the young ultra-religious settlers, Daniela Weiss. She runs a movement of radical settlers who propose to fill in the gaps, as they say.
Okay.
You continue with your pen.
Okay, so now we can start the interview.
Yes. I happen to be one of the first 10 families who came to this area, to here where we live now. We lived in a tiny little tent and then in a tiny shack, and then we moved to a trailer. We moved step by step until we built this big community. And for me, to live it is, I feel as if I'm in myself a chapter in the Bible, like to see such a miracle with my own eyes.
They are aggressive from the last right parties in Israel. They are religious, yes, these settlements, and they have no fence, they have no wall, because they consider Kafir Kadum and all the Palestinian lands from their borders.
In between the areas of the existing settlements, there is a lot of government land. And I want to be clear, we do not speak in our movement of touching any private Arab property. I speak about 2 million dunam, that is like 700,000 acres of government land, on which there is a debate. To what government? To me, it's clear. Government in Israel can be only Israeli government. So we are speaking about this 2 million dunam of government land on which we want to settle 3 million Jews. This is the plan of our movement.
I myself, I admit that I born under occupation and grow up under occupation, and maybe will die under occupation. But what is the fault of these children? Is this place suitable for our children? I think no.
They say the Jewish neighborhood blocks the road. You can go now, in 1 minute, and see the lie. You will see it, and you will not tell it to the world.
You see, what will I see?
You'll see that no...
The road is open.
Of course! And you will not. Of course not. We never built on a road.
From what I understood, it's not that the road is blocked, it's that they cannot use it or something like that.
Because they didn't want to use it. And I was the mayor. Of course.
We obeyed Daniela and went to test the famous road. We arrived by the north in order to reach the Palestinian village located on the other side of the settlement.
We need to go back to the road. We come from here. Why can't we go in? Look, Israeli government press card. Okay. It's not normal.
Manifestly, getting across the road is not such an easy matter, even when you're not Palestinian. So we go around the settlement to reach the other section of the road where Palestinians are preparing for a clash. They have built symbolic barricades, which Israeli army bulldozers remove in a flash. The Palestinians bombard them with futile stones.
We didn't have the ability to beat the Israeli army, and we didn't have the weapons which could face the weapons which is owned by the Israeli army. We only have our will.
The Israeli army does not use all its firepower.
Take care, just take care.
It does not fire real bullets. The real danger comes from the tear gas grenades that are thrown at ground level. It's best not to get hit in the head.
Did you see this tear gas canister? It shot directly. It shot directly. Now it's empty. طلع شوي براحتك شوي.
Today, a Chinese journalist gets hit in the knee.
It's shot in his knee directly. The Palestinian people, they didn't deny the right of anybody to live in peace in his state. On the other side, it is the right of us to live happy and in peace without suffering on our land.
Do you have hopes that one day in this very land, Jews and Arabs will be living together on an equal base?
The Arabs cannot live here on equal base with Jews because here it's going to be the land where the sovereignty will be only Jewish. It's not going to be Jewish Arab. It's going to be only Jewish. So equality it cannot be.
Can you perceive that in some places of the world, this is felt as a racist attitude?
I think the hypocrisy of the world is so well known the world over. So I want to see the world taking care of the poor Syrian refugees before they think of equality between what? Angela Merkel said in a very politically correct way that the multiple cultural idea failed, which means racism won.
Daniela Weiss does not represent the majority of Israeli public opinion. Far from it. The majority of Israelis say they are ready to negotiate for peace. Even within certain religious settlements, we found men of dialogue.
I see the reality is that the terror and the terrorists are a small fraction of the population, and overwhelming the Arabs and Palestinians are people that would, I know from personal experience, if your car breaks down, they would come and help you out. And if I felt I was surrounded by millions of murderers, I really wouldn't want to live here.
So do you think there's space for living together in this kind?
The Bible talks about other nations living in the land of Israel. There's a phrase, loving the sojourner as yourself, and even the Bible reminds us that you too were outsiders in the land of Egypt, taking our painful experience as slaves in Egypt and trying to, from that, to learn how to relate to other people out, within Israel.
In fact, Rabbi Yaakov reasons rather like the rest of the planet, which, incidentally, is starting to find things a little slow.
Aujourd'hui, nous devons tout faire pour faciliter la reconnaissance de l'État palestinien.
Britain is a strong supporter of the two-state solution. We don't believe that it's right to have this illegal settlement activity.
Israelis must recognize that continued settlement activity is counterproductive to the cause of peace, and that an independent Palestine must be viable with real borders that have to be drawn.
In Washington, American journalists are getting riled.
You always say the same thing, that you are unhappy, you find it unhelpful, and so on. But are you not concerned that there may not be any land left for the Palestinians to build their state on?
Well, that's why I expressed a concern today. We don't accept the legitimacy of continued settlement activity, and we encourage both sides to act in a way that will provide for a path to peace.
In other words, that there are consequences for the Palestinians if they do things that are unhelpful, but there are not consequences, and there are no plans to have consequences for the Israelis if they do things that are unhelpful to the process. Is that correct?
Again,
is that correct? I want to make sure that I understand that's the
There's
position.
no change in our policy on either front.
It means that the
Even the Israeli Prime Minister supports the two-state solution.
We recognize that a Palestinian state must be big enough to be viable, to be independent, to be prosperous.
The good Dr. Netanyahu holds power in Israel. So what stops him from solving things? Could it be that Mr. Benjamin keeps secretly pulling the rug from under Dr. Netanyahu's feet? In 2010, an Israeli television channel broadcast a short amateur film dating from 2000. Netanyahu is explaining how he blocked the first Oslo peace accords between Israelis and Palestinians. Of course, the moment was not meant to be filmed. Benjamin Netanyahu was visiting a settlement that had suffered a terrorist attack. He wanted to speak freely. Does he realize the camera has been turned back on? Whether he does or he doesn't, he's about to speak the truth.
אני אתן פירוש להסכם שיאפשר לי להפסיק את הדהירה הזאת לקווי 67. איך עשינו את זה?
Netanyahu picked up on an ambiguity in the text of the Oslo Accords. Israel can define the perimeter of the security zones around the settlements.
אף אחד לא אמר מה זה אתרים צבאיים מוגדרים. אתרים צבאיים מוגדרים, אני אמרתי, אלה אזורי ביטחון. בקעת הירדן מבחינתי זה אתר צבאי מוגדר. נכון. זהו כן. אף אחד לא... לך תגיד. אבל אז הייתה שאלה, מי יגדיר מה זה?
The impact of the Netanyahu method can be clearly seen on a map. This interpretation of the Oslo Accords has offered Israel control over the majority of Palestinian territories, and the number of settlements has multiplied by 3. What kind of state can you build in fragmented pieces of territory? Some Israeli leaders had a model in mind. In Rome, there's a political leader who heard about it. We went to Italy to meet the former head of the Italian government, Massimo D'Alema. In the 2000s, he took part in all the international discussions on the status of Palestine. At the time, privately, he met Ariel Sharon, the future Israeli prime minister. Sharon let him in on a few secrets.
Il a fait un voyage en Europe, il a été reçu par le responsable politique européen, et moi aussi je l'ai reçu. En réalité, Sharon il m'a dit, il y a plusieurs années, qu'il faut donner aux Palestiniens des zones qui sont administrées par les Palestiniens à l'intérieur de la sécurité israélienne. Et s'ils pensent d'appeler ça État, ils peuvent le faire, oui.
Grand bien leur face.
Il m'avait dit, finalement, c'était en privé, c'était confidentiel, et il a dit, bon, quelque chose comme les bantoustans.
Et le mot bantoustan a été prononcé par Sharon?
Oui, mais c'était... non, ce n'était pas officiel.
Bantustan, a strange word. The concept was created in South Africa in the 1960s, back when the whites were in power, during apartheid. To avoid being criticized, they put in place sorts of reserves for the African people.
I don't like the look of their spears.
It's all right. They think we're gods.
Well, I hope the Twala does.
Head up. If she thinks we're afraid, anything may happen.
The Bantustans were territories in which the various African tribes could flourish freely, but amongst themselves, with make-believe kings and presidents, reservations disguised as nations. Is Palestine a Bantustan? In any case, it's far from being a country. In Ramallah, the administrative capital of the Palestinian Authority, buildings have grown skywards. This rather empty mini Dubai looks like a capital just waiting for a country. The city is surrounded by military zones and Israeli settlements. There are now over 350,000 settlers. They cost the Israeli state $450 million a year. Every day, new illegal settlements are built. They are referred to as outposts. The illegal settlers receive immediate army protection, running water, electricity, and a good deal of benevolence. If the government wanted to encourage them to set up on hilltops, that's exactly the way it would do it. 5 years ago, Gadniel brought his family to these heights. Initially, he lived in a prefabricated house, and now he's building a concrete one. Officially, he does not strictly have the right to be here, but he's not that bothered about it.
We wanted to come to a place that's in a start and that's a pioneer. And we love the place, the view. We're building this whole city from nothing. We're building it slowly. Everyone is building, and new people are coming into these houses, and then they're building, and then new...
It's difficult to get the legalization of settlement.
Very.
How does it work?
It's processes and it's a long process and a lot of bureaucratia. But a lot of places got it, and we're on the list. We need to do a lot of stuff for it, and we're working on it.
It's true that from these hilltops, the view is splendid. A beautiful place to bring up your kids. But is it just for the beauty of the landscape that the settlers are settling on the heights?
Bye-bye.
Traveling around the West Bank, we notice that the settlements are systematically built on the hilltops. It's no coincidence. We discover the plan in an internal document issued by the political movement of the settlements. Occupying the hilltops is part of a military strategy, a plan with a direct consequence for the Palestinians. When President Obama came to Israel in 2013, the settlers handed him their project. It's no longer a secret.
Hello, we have a meeting with Mr. Dayan.
Danny Dayan is the world ambassador for the settlement movement Yesha. Formerly a marginal movement, Yesha has now become a major political force with 3 ministers in the government.
Tell me why it's important for settlers to be on the hills.
Well, you know, every morning when I wake up, I have a privilege to remind myself why I left the comfortable life in Tel Aviv. Is either me and my family here on this hill, or a Palestinian Islamic fundamentalist regime that will use these very hills as a launching pad to destroy Israel.
It's like a war. It's like maintaining a war situation against, you say, radical Palestinians, but the Palestinians on the ground feel as against themselves.
No, it's not that. We have a conflict. We have a conflict that right now, unfortunately, very unfortunately, does not have a political solution. We didn't advance even 1 centimeter. Something is wrong with the...
And do you think settlements have a responsibility in the fact that you didn't advance, that you made it even more difficult for a Palestinian state to exist?
Not at all. Not at all.
But that's what you say in the brochure.
In
the brochure, you say that you want to create a situation where it becomes clear to the international community that another state...
Yes, but what the obstacle for peace is not that fact. The obstacle for peace is the fact that the Palestinians do not want a peace with Israel in the sense as we understand it, a Jewish state in at least some part of this land. We have to understand that for the time being, at least until something happens, this is the maximum we can achieve.
What does the War of the Hilltops look like? We took the road back to the east of the Palestinian territories. Just 20 kilometers away, we stopped in the Arab village of Burin. The road is Israeli territory. The hills all around are occupied by 3 settlements. They are also Israeli territory. Around the Arab village, just a few hundred meters of Palestinian Authority remain. A zone contested on a daily basis. Abu Morsi is the last shepherd in the village.
للنسوان وبركس للسمك هاي أنا كل يوم بكيت أروح عليها وأسقي غنمي عليها وأقعد تحت الشجر عندها كل يوم. اليوم ما في. فإسرائيل طوقتنا احنا خاص في هالقرية طوقتنا كثير وشدت علينا كثير وما في مجال إن حتى نتوسع في البنى برا.
In Burin, the main resource of the peasants is olives.
Here they use the saw for and then pull it by their hand. This tree and this tree, more than 20 trees.
According to the Palestinians, the settlers came down to destroy their trees. It all took place under the unblinking eyes of the army.
كله هو بيجي هون على الشجر بحرث الشجر بنزل بطحاه هذه ارضي وهو ابصر من وين جاي من اي بلد جاي انا بيجي علي هون مشان يطحيني وبيجي الجيش معاه كمان الجيش مع المستوطن
Today, Abu Morsi, probably the most stubborn Palestinian this side of the Jordan River, is taking us with him as he leads his animals to pasture. He has promised us some action. First, he has to find his flock.
طلع المنطقة هذيك نزلوا حركوا المراعي اللي أنا بدفع مصاري حقها. بضمن الأرض هاي وبرعى فيها، نزلوا علي المستوطنين. هسه بتشوف حركوا جميع الأرض هاي ما عدا الشجر، وحركوا جميع المنطقة هاي. يلا 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 هيجك سعيد، هيجا سعيد رد انتوا يا بسرعة.
Abu Morsi has found his sheep. He takes them to graze as though leaving for battle.
كل يوم يجوا، كل ساعة يجوا ومش خايفين. وأنا كل يوم هان أنا بكين 150 راس غنم. خليت هذول شوي ما بيسوين لي إنتاج، بس المهم أنا أجي.
And sure enough, the soldiers arrive. At the same time, the Palestinian cameraman from the village appears. Each to his own weapons.
הכל שטח בי.
אנחנו עוד פעם מגיעים לסיפור הזה, אז אני אומר לך, תלכו, תתרחקו טיפה, תחסכו את הריב איתם, תחסכו את הריב איתנו, וזהו.
אין כלום למעלה.
אין מה לראות, אין קש, אין כלום, הכל שרוף. אם אני יורד למטה, גם אין.
10 מטר, צמדו לטרסה, 10 מטר.
يلا تعال نروح غاد 10 متر يلا.
ما فيش شيء غاد محروقة.
روح يا ابو مرسي وقف هناك روح. نحن لو
They also said that they came here to protect you from the settlers. Is it true?
كذابين ترد عليهم. هم بيجوا يقتلوني ويطحوني. هم هذول اللي حركوا الجبل. هذول هم والمستوطنين مع بعض الجهتين، هم اللي ولعوا النار. هذول كذابين، بس بيجوا هسه انتوا لو انكم مشان بروح وبودي المستوطنين مشان يسرقوا الغنم.
How come you speak Hebrew?
من كثر ما بيجوا علي وبيحكوا معي صرت افهم شوي منهم. والله صرت احكي عبراني. استفدت اللغه العبرانيه. بديش اياها وروحوا عني بس. انا بديش اياها.
The war of the sheep is raging throughout the West Bank. Do sheep symbolize something in particular? Is there a sign we might have missed? Why such warlike application to disperse goats and sheep?
حتى عندك كوباس اسمح لكش اكثر من هيك. ابو الشباب يلا خذ هذا وحل عنا فيه. يلا يلا من حال ما جيت روح. شو منديل
The settler lives in the settlement of Otniel in the south of Hebron. In the Holy Land, miracles do happen. And the head of the Otniel settlement has agreed to explain things.
Technically, how do you take a land with a goat? How do you do that? You leave a goat? How is it possible?
יום שלם, ומחר עוד יום, ושבוע הבא עוד, ואחר כך עוד. ואחר כך הוא עושה אוהל בשביל לשים בפנים את העדר. ואחר כך הוא עושה ליד האוהל עוד אוהל בשביל לגור ליד, וזה הולך אחד אחרי השני. זה מתחיל עם צד אחד רק להביא את הכבשים, אבל זה נמשך אחר כך עם בתים. ולכן כל שטח של אדמה שהוא בעצם שייך לנו, אנחנו רוצים לבנות שם, רוצים לשים שם עוד בתים, או לשים שם מרעה, או לשים שם עוד מקומות שבהם אפשר לחיות. זה התשובה השנייה.
apparently they don't want to leave, they want to stay, so you have to share the land. Is it something that the Bible sees?
אין דבר כזה. זה לא קיים. זה לא קיים.
They have to leave.
כן? או לחיות בשלום.
In Burin, one house is particularly under attack, Hannah's house. It's an isolated dwelling, very close to the radical settlement of Yitzhar. Hannah, a Palestinian widow, and her children live there. Hannah's husband died of a heart attack after their house was set on fire.
مستوطنين كل يوم بينزلوا علينا بيحاولوا يدخلوا البيت بس احنا بنمنعهم يعني اكثر من مرتين ثلاث حركوا البيت هذا وحركوا البيت فوق وقتلوا جوزي وسرقوا الاغنام وسرقوا الخيل وحركوا السيارات هم بيعملوا هيك مشان يهججونا من الدار بس احنا ما نطلعش من دارنا احنا صامدين.
Hannah has kept the traces of some attacks. The Israeli army has judged the radical settlers of Yitzhar to be sufficiently dangerous to warrant pushing them back.
You live here in the middle of danger and hostility. Are you sometimes tempted to leave your house?
لا ما تركش البيت هذا لو بموت فيه بتركوش بضلني صامد.
Yitzhar is the only West Bank settlement in which Israeli police have arrested 2 rabbis for incitement of racial hatred. In 2012, certain Yitzhar settlers opened fire on Palestinians from a neighboring village. A B'Tselem cameraman captured the scene. We traveled to Yitzhar with an Israeli journalist who the radical settlers know. It's a necessity to get through security. The settlement spans several hills. The majority of houses are temporary prefabricated dwellings. Land use density is low. Our car has been spotted by security. It's made clear to us that nobody will speak to us. On the other side of the valley is another radical outpost, Givat Arusa. It is just as closed as Yitzhar. We have more luck at the settlement of Bracha. It's a religious settlement, but not a fanatical one. We're welcomed by their spokesperson, Yonatan Beyar. He's originally from Brooklyn and is not overly concerned with what's happening in the valley. He moved up here to be closer to heaven.
We want the entire world to be at peace. We want the entire world to be happy. We want the entire world to know that there is one God in this world, and that's our job. That's what we're here for.
And of course, that includes the people who live in Naples. And
that includes the Arabs, includes the Christians, includes you name it, the Chinese, from all over the world. That's our goal.
What are you going to do with your Arab neighbors that don't have rights?
There's an idea in the Torah, in the Bible, it's called a ger toshav, which means a resident alien. And that's really the definition of any non-Jew who wants to live in the land of Israel.
Be like foreign people.
I don't know, what do you mean by foreign?
Alien.
Like I said, it's called an alien resident. On one hand, it's a resident, but on the other hand, it's alien.
You see on the internet all those pictures of conflict and sometimes settlers, people looking like settlers, burning trees, destroying trees. So I was wondering, what is the logic behind? I'm sure there is some kind of logic.
Look, if there is logic, I don't know what it is. I really don't, because it doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever. It just gets us bad media, and it makes us look very bad. And we're totally against it. Nobody here in my community that I know of does anything like that. It's interesting. The police, the army, nobody's able to catch anybody. All the leftist organizations who are always claiming that we're destroying their trees, but nobody's been caught. It sounds a little strange to me.
Fundamentalist settlements are growing steadily in Israel. We tend to forget it, but the first settlements were founded by secular Jewish idealists who were fleeing a racist and feudal Europe. They came to found utopian farming communities, the kibbutz. Some even harbored the rather wild dream of helping the Arabs break free from their monarchs. It didn't last long. Today, the utopian revolutionaries have given way to religious followers whose only horizon is the Bible.
You know, anybody who believes in the Bible and opens up the Bible sees that God promised the land of Israel to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and his offspring.
The Bible is a great book, but sometimes, you know, we see things that maybe are exaggerated, like the sea opening up for someone to pass by. Sometimes you think that it was more of a creation of a fable, you know, to give people some laws and strength, and that applying it now is a little bit out of date.
We believe totally different. We believe everything that was written in the Bible is true.
Even the sea opening?
Of course. The sea opening was one of the highlights of the Jewish nation coming out of Egypt. And the Red Sea, God split the sea, and the Jewish nation went through, and when the Egyptians came running after us, the sea went back together.
Yeah, I saw the movie. Yeah.
Oh, you saw that?
I saw the movie.
Sure. That happened. That's not just a fairy tale.
Yeah.
For us, this is the truth. This is you know, we're talking about the Word of God here. He created the world. He knows exactly what he's doing.
You know, the feeling I have when I meet people like you from the settlements who are very religious is that you live in an abstract world, which is a perfect world. It's the world of the Bible, and I respect that. But the reality on the ground seems to be slightly more ugly and more difficult to face. And so you don't want to see it, or? No.
We're very realistic. Don't get me wrong. We're very realistic. We see the ugly parts also. But we don't focus on the ugly parts. We try and focus on the good parts.
For a long time, the religious settlers were just a very vocal minority in Israel. What's new is that today they are in the government. They hold 3 major ministries. The Minister for Housing is a settler himself. Even if he has not yet managed to impose his views, he doesn't hide them either.
Notre sentiment, c'est que c'est désormais impossible qu'il y ait un État palestinien. Est-ce que c'était ce que vous vouliez quand vous avez lancé le grand mouvement de la colonisation?
רק אומרים, אולי גם תתחלקו עם אחרים. ואני אומר שממערב לירדן יש מקום רק למדינה אחת, מדינת ישראל. לדעתי, אנחנו אחרי האפשרות לחלק את האזור הזה. יחד עם זאת, אני מאמין שאפשר להגיע בעתיד הלא קרוב להסכמים שיביאו להרגעת האזור.
Si j'ai bien compris, vous proposez d'annexer les territoires palestiniens et de tout transformer en Israël.
גם אחרי זה, חברון היא שלנו. ירושלים היא שלנו, ענתות שלנו, הכל שלנו, זה כתוב לפני 3,000 שנה.
We return to Hebron, and we come across a scene that could foreshadow a not-too-distant future. In the heart of the old Arab city, which is in theory under Palestinian control, we discover the Israeli army. Isa is there.
I'm good. It's better to take it away because stones may come here now. Okay.
Israeli soldiers have left the Jewish zone and have taken control of the Arab market. On account of a Jewish festival, they have obliged dozens of Palestinian stall owners to close shop. And they're keeping the crowd at bay.
They announced 2 days ago that this road is closed by military order to let the settlers visit one of the tombs inside the Palestinian controlled area.
The Jewish tomb is located beneath this Palestinian house, 300 meters away from the Israeli settlements of Hebron.
For your safety, on that side.
We find their spokesperson on the other side of the checkpoint in the settlement zone.
If they want to claim for justice for all, okay, I'm for that. But let's open all for all.
Seen from the Arab side, this opening means first and foremost they do not have control over their city.
If the Palestinian Authority, should they be more clever, they would offer Palestinian citizenship to Jews.
I think that the Palestinian Authority would have been quite willing to protect the settlers to go to their tomb.
Till now, we don't see any attacks on the settlers. In the contrary, all the attacks are from the settlers toward the Palestinians. Jews are allowed, Christians are allowed, and Muslims are allowed. We talk about equality, between all cultures and all religions in our state and our country. But till now, we are under the occupation. This is the point,
And according to the settlers, that's not a situation that's about to be resolved.
All the city must be under full Israeli control without any Palestinian Authority or anything like that. Now it will be open for all, it will be secure, it will be open, it will flourish.
You're just asking for Hebron to become Israel.
Yes, and I'll tell you something. I'm sure most of the Arabs in Hebron, if you ask them quietly, they will be happy about it. Most of the Arabs, and I speak to them, and I know what I say, most of them.
Until 1 p.m., Israeli soldiers have kept the young Palestinians at bay with sound grenades. Two hours later, the operation is over. The settlers return to their zone. A few stone throwers have been arrested. For the Israeli army, everything went well. As they go back to their zone, 2 Israeli soldiers flash defiant fingers to the Palestinians. But it's a short-lived victory. No sooner have the soldiers reached the other side of the checkpoint than all the Palestinian anger and frustration breaks loose. The Israeli soldiers will have to invade the Palestinian zone once again. They repelled the youngsters with plastic bullets and sound grenades. The Israeli positions fire just one round of live bullets. It is greeted by a strange clamor of joy among the young Palestinians.
When they started shooting bullets, people seemed to be happy. Why?
Yes, and actually, the Palestinian community, they lost all the chances in this life. They have nothing to lose it. Just we have our dignity. The reason is that Israeli authority, they put us in the big cage, big prison. And also we are not allowed to go visit our neighborhoods, and also we are not allowed to go outside this city sometimes to go to Jerusalem. If you want to go to Jerusalem, you have to apply to get permission from Israeli civilian administration.
Could you live together?
That's impossible. That's impossible for one reason. Because we are prisoners. Imagine that. How you could as a because they are very angry and they have feelings pushing them to do it without using their minds because they feel so helpless and weak. This is dangerous area for Palestinians, but they don't care because they are using their feelings.
The riots lasted for 4 days.
I think the settlers are a militia of the soldiers. I think blaming the settlers is the easy way out. Religious, weird, you know, they all have beards, they look different. Yeah, that's how we in Israel clean ourselves from responsibility. But the story is exactly the opposite. The problem is the state, not the settlers.
Numerous Palestinians were wounded. One Israeli soldier was killed by an invisible sniper. The former head of the Israeli Secret Service, Yuval Diskin, declared, "The immense frustration of the Palestinians is escalating as they realize that their land is being stolen from them and that the possibility of a Palestinian state is growing more distant. All conditions are there for an explosion of violence."
كرسي بس